Oh, this one's good. All right. So I was thinking that one of the things that we can do today to sort of help you guys out is we can try to build the skeleton of our results section right here in class. All right. And we have these, these four major parts of our results section. I'm going to add those into a new page here. Can I do 2 pages? No, I can't. Zoom technology has not advanced enough for me. Sometimes I can't do stuff on Zoom that I really want to do. Results section. Okay, we have 4 parts. The first part was remind the reader of your hypotheses. I can't tell you how hard it is to type when I'm talking at the same time. All right, first is remind the reader of your hypotheses. Second is how did you prepare your data? The third part is what were the results? Oh, you know what? I'm going to split this part into 2 sections. Instead of, I'm going to do 3A and 3B. Because 3A is really what test did you run? And that's going to be the same for everybody in this class because you all ran a factorial ANOVA. Not everybody ran a 2x2 though. So some of you ran, one group ran a 3x3. So yours will be slightly different, but what test did you run is 3A. And then 3B is basically what did those tests reveal? Okay. And then 4 is restate the findings. Without jargon, and what I really mean there is without statistics. Okay. All right. So that's good. And the next thing that I want to do is I want to sort of help myself format my results section. So here's what I'm just going to do. I'm going to copy all this information. These are the 4 things that I need to include. I guess there's 5. I'm just going to copy that and put it down here. And I'm going to start writing my results section. So first, I have results. That's going to be bolded. And then the way I'm going to sort of help myself out here is I'm going to put in parentheses what I'm going to write in the first part, what I'm going to write in the second part, what I'm going to write in the third part. So the first part is going to be remind the reader of my hypotheses. The second part is going to be how did I prepare my data? That's one of the things I want to talk about a lot today. Next, what test did I run? Next, what were the results of my analyses? And finally, restate my findings without jargon. All right. Now, I'm putting these here so that I know what I have to write. I have to write all of this information in my results section. And so what I'll do is I'm basically going to put them all in separate paragraphs. I don't think they need to be in separate paragraphs, but for the purposes of like laying out exactly what I need to do, I'm going to start like this. And if I want to combine stuff later, then I'll do that. So let me see. The first thing I want to do is remind the reader of my hypotheses. Well, I don't know. What were the hypotheses here? This research design is video topic by sex. So what they did in this study is they showed their participants, the participants were either male or female. So really this should be participant sex. All right. Male or female. And they showed them either a nature video or a non-nature video. And they were thinking that this nature video is going to help these people get less stressed. I believe it. I watch a lot of nature documentaries and stuff, and they really help me sort of calm down. So I could see that happening. All right. Oh, they also had an interaction though, hypothesis. They thought this nature video was going to be more useful to males than it is to females. Okay. So they thought for males, they would get a nice boost in their, or rather a decrease in their stress from the nature video. But for females, that it wouldn't be as important. That was their predictions. So I'm going to write those predictions. We predicted that watching a nature video would do something. However, we thought that males would be different than females in this way, okay? I'm not gonna write your whole results section, but this beginning part is very similar for everybody. You're reminding people of your hypotheses, so you say what you predicted, all right? So that's good. How did you prepare your data? How did you prepare your data? Okay. So what we have to do here is we have to think about what their data was, all right? What did they get from each person? So let's say a participant came in. Let's call them participant one. Participant one came in and what did they do? They either watched a nature video or they watched a non-nature video. So let's say participant one watches a nature video. Okay, so that's the first thing they do. And their dependent variable is stress. So there's got to be some kind of like stress measure. Take a stress measure. Okay. And that's basically it. All right, that's the important information we got from the participant. Oh, they also indicated their gender. Okay, so that's the data that I got from participant one, and I got similar data from every participant. I learned which kind of video did they watch. That's really important because I need to be able to see if the stress was different for the nature people than the non-nature. I also needed a stress measurement for each participant because otherwise, how would I get these stress values? I needed to know their gender. So everybody told me their gender so I could split them into the female or male group. All right. And so that's the data that I got from every person. These three pieces of information were all that I really needed to answer this question. And presumably in your method section, you told me about this information, right? Everybody either watched the nature video or watched the non-nature video. Everybody took a stress measure. Everybody indicated their gender. That's in the method section. Okay, you already told me that, so you don't need to tell me this stuff in the results. But what I do need to know is how you got from these three pieces of information for every participant. How did you get from there to this? All right, this box right here says the mean score for females in the nature video condition. The mean score for females in the nature video condition was 2.12. How did I get that score? Any guesses how we got from this information to that mean of 2.2? How did we get from there to there? Any ideas? All right. So let's say we had a really, really small study, and just coincidentally, all of our female and nature video participants happen to be the first 3 participants. So all the other ones were, participant 4 was male, maybe. So notice what I'm getting for each participant. I'm getting information about what their gender is. I'm getting information about what kind of video they watched. Okay, so maybe participant 5 watched the other kind of video. Okay, so participant 5 watched the other kind of video. So for each participant, I get 3 pieces of information. Now, my question is, how do I get from these 3 pieces of information to that mean value? How do I get to that mean value for females watching the nature video?
Isn't the mean like kind of like the average of that category?
That's right.
So the 2.12 would be like kind of like basically where most people averaged, right?
Right. So what I do to get from these pieces of information to these means, mean is the same thing as like a mathematical average. So to get that, I just take all the females in the nature condition and get the average of their stress. All right. And I can do the same thing for males in the nature condition. And then I do the same thing for females in the non-nature condition. All right. So I take those scores and get the average of them. That's what I mean when I say, how did you prepare this data? How did you get this information? All right. Because, for example, when we look at the main effect of independent variable 1 video topic, okay, for this main effect, we're comparing nature videos versus non-nature videos. In this main effect, we don't care about gender at all. So we're using these marginal means over here. But the question is like, how did I get that? Well, we had to take the average for all the people who watched the nature video and the average for all the people who did not watch that, who watched the different video, okay? And these 2 boxes are what we're comparing in our statistical test. So we need to tell the reader, how did we get from the data the participants gave us to the numbers that we actually compared? All right. And the answer is we averaged together the stress scores for the different groups of people. Okay. So for how did you prepare your data, you're going to say something about that. We calculated the average stress scores for the different conditions of, whatever. And obviously for your group, it wouldn't be stress, it would be whatever your dependent variable is. But this is basically what all of you did, right? And for the group that actually did run a real study, right, what they did was they had people look at 2 different types of Instagram accounts, and they were either older people or they were younger people, all right? And so each individual person had a self-esteem score in that study. And I had to personally average together all the older people who watched the nature image account. Coincidentally, it was also nature. You guys both think nature is important. I think so too. That study had some really interesting findings. I kind of want that group to like tell everybody about it later on in the class, maybe. If you guys would be willing, I think that would be awesome because they had some really weird findings. But the point is, I had to get an average for everybody in the young nature Instagram account. And then I got an average for everybody in the young image focused Instagram account. Then I got an average for everybody in the older image focused and the older nature focused, okay? And so every time you have these mean values that we're comparing, somebody had to calculate that mean. And when I say, how did you prepare your data? That's what I'm talking about, okay? We had to calculate some averages. We had to calculate some averages. Without those averages, we can't do any statistics, okay? All right. Now, one possibility is this is all like amazingly useful and nobody has any questions. Another possibility is people are coming up with questions but aren't asking them. Feel free to ask in the chat. If you don't like everybody seeing, make sure you click the Stephen Almaraz that says chat. And you can send me a personal message and then other people don't have to see, okay? But I'm hopeful that this is gonna help you get started on writing your results. So we predicted something, yeah. Next, we want to say what test that I ran. And, I mentioned this a lot in the introduction sections. I like to flow from one part to the next part. So I'm actually going to try to flow from that data preparation. I'm going to flow that into what test did you run. Let me think of how to say this. I'm going to use some fancy language here. It's not that fancy, but we submitted what was it, nature? So here I say, we submitted these averages, and that's the part that I'm like transitioning. We just told you about the averages. Now I'm telling you what we did with them. All right. We submitted these averages to a 2, and then include the IV and levels, 2 by 2, again, IV and levels. This wouldn't be between subjects. It would be between subjects because people only were either male or female, and they only saw nature or non-nature. So between subjects, ANOVA. All right. I think we've talked about ANOVA in this class. Well, really, it doesn't matter. But we submitted these averages to a 2 by 2 between subjects ANOVA. You could also say factorial. It really doesn't matter. I don't usually say factorial, but technically speaking, that's a more correct way of saying it. So between subjects factorial ANOVA. ANOVA really just means an F test, all right? In your results sections, the F here comes from you guys running an ANOVA, all right? So we only get F tests if somebody runs an ANOVA. So we submitted these averages to a 2 by 2 between subjects factorial ANOVA. That's basically it right there. We're almost done. All right. Now, actually, I'm going to split this one into sections as well. All right. What were the results of your analyses? I'm going to split this into sections. A lot of sections. Okay, so there's 5 different sections of what were the results of your analyses, all right? And these 5 different sections are aligned perfectly with the 5 pieces of data I gave you, all right? The first one is the main effect of IV1. Okay, the first one is the main effect of IV1. The second one is the main effect of IV2. The third one is the overall interaction. Was there a significant interaction? The fourth one is down here. What was your first simple effect? So in this case, what was the simple effect for females comparing nature versus non-nature? And what was the simple effect for males comparing nature versus non-nature? All of your groups have this same format, except my 3x3 group. You guys have 3 simple effects because there's 3 levels of your independent variables, okay? So everybody has 2 levels, 2 simple effects, except that one group, they have 3 simple effects. But, so down here in what were the results, my internet is just a little bit slow today. Down here in what were the results, you're gonna first talk about that first main effect. Second, talk about that second main effect. Third, talk about the interaction, and then use the simple effects, 4 and 5, use the simple effects to describe that interaction, okay? So my first thing that I do is for main effect 1. The first thing that I'm doing is for main effect 1. So we gotta say whether we found a significant main effect. I'm gonna come up here, and to figure out if I have a significant main effect, I'm gonna look right here. If P is less than 0.05, if our significance value is less than 0.05, those mean the same thing. P and significance are the same. Then we have a significant effect. Okay, so in this case, it is below 0.05. It's 0.041, all right? So we do have a significant effect. So I'm just gonna write that. This analysis revealed a significant main effect of video topic. I'm going to toss in some statistics that show that. I need an F value with some degrees of freedom, and I need a P value. F and P should be italicized. But it's not enough to say we had a significant main effect, because it doesn't matter that much that there was a significant main effect if you don't tell me what was the effect, you know? Because what I really care about, or what the reader really cares about, is, well, did your video work? Did you, decrease people's stress with this nature video? I can't tell if you only tell me that it was significant. You've got to tell me, how were the 2 groups different? All right. So in order to do that, I need to look at these marginal means. And in particular, these 2 right here on the right side. Wow, my internet's very slow. That's not what my screen looks like. But these 2 over here on the far right, because those are my 2 stress levels for nature and for non-nature, okay? Actually, my internet's very bad. So can somebody maybe just mention yes in the chat if you can hear me still?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. So, uh-oh, did I lose my screen sharing? Well, maybe I'll just keep talking while it's up there.
No, you're fine.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. I'm sorry. But So can somebody maybe try to describe to me the main effect of video topic here? What's the main effect of video topic? What's the main effect of video topic? Oops. Oh, my iPad got disconnected. Okay. Let me see if I can try to bring it back. Where were we? Here. There we go. Sorry about that. So hopefully you can see now. I'm going to move a little closer to my router, see if that helps. But if somebody can try to tell me describe the main effect of video topic, that would be useful both to me in this class and also to the people whose project this is. Obviously, this is one of those times. If you want to use your voice, that's fine, or type it in the chat. That's cool too.
There's a main effect between, like there's a bigger effect on watching a non-nature video than the nature video.
So I don't know. Because when you say a bigger effect of watching a nature video versus a non-nature, like, I don't really see that, because I can't tell which one of these two changed people's stress level, all right? Maybe their stress level was really low naturally, and showing them the non-nature video had a huge impact. It increased their stress. I can't tell though, because there was no pre-level, all right? When you're describing a main effect, you've got to compare these two groups directly to each other. Don't say one of them had a bigger effect or a smaller effect. Instead, I just want to know, we put people in two different conditions, which one led to more or less stress? Let me see what this person says here. Oh, Ruth. Participants who view nature video experienced significantly less stress compared to participants who viewed non-nature video. What's great about this is it includes both levels, okay, of that variable, and it says which one was higher or lower on the DV. Okay, so I'm actually just gonna write exactly that. I'm actually just gonna write exactly that here. So I don't feel like I wrote this. Such that participants who view nature videos. And remember, I need to include some statistics that support this. Nature videos experience significantly again, after I say that second one, I need to give supporting data. Okay. So this analysis revealed a significant main effect of video topic, such that participants who viewed nature videos experienced significantly less stress compared to participants who viewed non-nature videos. So you're making a direct comparison across them. You're not saying one of them individually had a big effect, okay? We can't really see what one of them individually does. What we can see is how they are compared to each other. Is one higher, or are they about the same? All right. And so when I look up at the second main effect of sex, I can see that there was no significant difference. Okay. So you won't say one was significantly less stress or not. You'll say they were similar. Males and females had similar levels of stress. But I'm not going to write that out. We've already written one main effect. I want to move on to the interaction. Okay, but the main effect too is going to be similar. Now, the interaction is an interesting thing. The interaction is an interesting thing. We always talk, or I've talked about it in this class several times, that the interaction is more important than the main effects. All right, and I think this example here is going to illustrate why that's true. Okay, so this main effect that we wrote down says that participants who view nature videos experience significantly less stress compared to participants who view non-nature videos. Okay, and that sounds pretty straightforward. But this test, this group wanted to split males and females and ask that question separately. And so the interaction is basically asking the question, do these videos affect males and females differently? Do both of the independent variables matter? All right. And if there's a significant interaction, and there is for all of you, if there's a significant interaction, then that means both of your variables matter, not just one, not just like this main effect is. So usually when there's a significant interaction, I'm going to use the word however. Okay, because I'm trying to illustrate that the stuff I just told you about those main effects, that's not the whole story. There's something more going on. All right. So looking up at the stats, I know this is a significant interaction because right here, that significance value is less than 0.05. Okay, that p-value is less than 0.05. So that indicates a significant interaction. So I'm going to write that. However, we also found a significant interaction between. Now, this interaction between is really important because what the interaction is saying is, hey, the video is not the only thing that matters, and the participant's sex is not the only thing that matters. But actually, the participant's sex matters to how the video affects them, all right? Both of these variables interact with each other. So there's a significant interaction between participant sex and video topic. I want to write that sentence in another way. I could write it like this. However, there was also a significant participant sex by video topic interaction. Okay, both of these statements though are going to require some statistics. So I'll need an F value with degrees of freedom and a P value. Obviously those F and P should be italicized. I'm not going to italicize them here. So either of these two sentences would work well. We found a significant interaction between participant sex and video topic, or basically the same thing. However, there was also a significant participant sex by video topic interaction. Okay, so that's great. That looks good. That's all we need there. Next, we've got our simple effect number one. So let me come up here. First, my simple effect number one is for females. So that p-value is again less than 0.05. So that means that there was a difference between nature and non-nature for females. To figure it out, I'm going to come right up here. And it looks like for the females, they had lower self-esteem, or rather, they had lower stress when they watched the nature video versus the non-nature video. And this is a really big difference too. So let's see. Oh, there we go. I'm still on draw. For women, basically the same thing we set up above. I'm just going to copy it. For women, those who view nature videos experience significantly less stress compared to those who viewed non-nature videos. Again, I'll need some statistics that support this claim. This time, for the simple effects, we're using T statistics, but it's basically the same. I'm just going to copy that over. So that's what happens for women. But in simple effect 2, we're now going to talk about men. But again, these sentences are so similar, I'm just going to copy it and paste it here. Again, I'm going to use a, like a comparison word. So I'm going to say, but for men, let's see what happened for men. So here's my simple effect for men. In this case, that p-value is large. There is no significant difference between men who watch nature versus men who watch non-nature videos. And those values are really close together, so that kind of makes sense, all right? Even though there's a slight decrease for nature videos, it's not significant. So we basically treat it like there's no difference. So let's see. But for men, those who viewed nature videos, how about did not experience significantly less stress compared to those who viewed non-nature videos. We got to fix those stats there. Same number of degrees of freedom, 0.82, 0.502. Boom. We've just finished all the stats for this paper. Okay, that's all the statistics stuff. 5 sentences. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 sentences for the stats. Okay, I know thinking of it like 5 things is a lot, but when you break it down and see that you really only need to say 1 sentence about that main effect, 1 sentence about the second main effect, I hope it makes it feel a little bit easier. Okay. And then the last thing that we have to do, and to tell you the truth, probably there is a new paragraph. So I'm guessing these first 3, or wait, not there, here. I'm guessing these first 3 points you could put into 1 paragraph. It doesn't really matter that much. And then all of these analyses could go into 1 paragraph. And then your restatement could be in a new paragraph. Can somebody try to give like a gist of what we found here? Can somebody try to just, the whole point of this is to not use jargon. It's to not use, fancy words or anything like that. You're just trying to say the basic overall findings. And you should also keep in mind that if a reader comes into your results section and they think, I want to read as little as possible, they're going to jump to this last sentence. All right, because this last sentence is the restatement. The last sentence is where you say, all that was basically our way of showing that this, okay? So can somebody try to give me a restatement of the findings? What did they find here? And if you want to use your words, that might be a lot easier than writing it down. Hmm. This is kind of a bummer. I should have chosen somebody else's paper because neither of the people in this group are here today. Anybody got any idea what they found? What did they find?
They found that watching nature videos can significantly lower your stress level.
Okay, yeah, that's certainly the main effect. But, you know, if I'm a reader and I'm a male and you tell me that's true, but then I read that for men, there was no difference between nature and non-nature videos. That makes me feel like, well, then I didn't get the whole story, right? So we have to make sure to mention something about the interaction. The interaction is the most important thing. And so this restatement is really going to focus on the interaction. This restatement is going to focus on the interaction because the main effects are important, but the interaction tells us they're only important for some people or at certain times, depending on what your specific study was. So I would say something similar to what you said. Nature videos seem to decrease stress compared to non-nature videos. But this only occurred for women. All right. So something like that says, here's our basic finding, and here's a little glimpse into the interaction. It happened for women, but it didn't happen for men. Okay. And so we, you know, I mean, I didn't write every single sentence. I left a few words out, but we basically wrote this whole results section just now. Okay. And my hope is that, you know, for you guys here, that you'll be able to sort of take this, you know, I like to think of it like a skeleton, can take this skeleton and just like, instead of what this answer was, put your answer in instead. All right. So that's basically all I want to talk about here. Do I have any questions before we move on, though?
I'm still confused on how you did the testing. Like, what was the test question?
Oh, actually, so I won't forget that, but I will forget this other thing. So I forgot one thing that I didn't mention here in the results was were the hypotheses supported. So I would add something right here that says contrary to our hypotheses. Contrary to our hypotheses, for women, those of your nature videos, blah, blah, blah. And that one little sentence is the part where you just say, were we right, basically? Okay. So right here, we submitted these averages to a blank by blank between subjects factorial ANOVA. Now, I want to flash you back to your method section. In your method section, you had a part where you talk about the design of the experiment. And it looked very similar to this, all right? You basically said something like, the design was a 2 by 2 factorial, all right? Or maybe something like this. We used a 2 by 2 between subjects factorial design. All right. So for the test that you ran, you're basically just taking that design and adding the word ANOVA. Okay. That's all you have to do. What kind of ANOVA did we run? We ran the design kind of ANOVA. All right. So if you had a 3 by 3 between subjects factorial design, then you ran a 3 by 3 between subjects factorial ANOVA. So we're basically just taking this last word and replacing it with ANOVA. Okay, ANOVA is just a type of test. We've got t-tests, z-tests, and ANOVAs. Okay, good. Okay, I want to see if there's other stuff that I should talk about here. Did I miss anything? I kind of am going off my memory here of how to write a results section. And I think it's important, I tried to organize the data that I gave you in the way that I want you to write it. The data goes main effect, interaction, simple effects. And that's exactly the way that I want you to organize these. And it's basically in order from like least important to most important. The same way that I want you to write your introduction section, in fact. You start with the stuff that's not as important, and then you move to the stuff that's more important. And that's why we think the interaction is really important. So we put the interaction at the end, okay? Okay, so I'm gonna wait another maybe 15 seconds for any questions. And so somebody in the chat
I have a question.
Yeah.
I think you talked about how we were supposed to talk about the scale and what like larger numbers indicate or something along the sort. Where does that fit in?
Sure, let's see. We calculated average scores for the different groups of people or whatever, comma, with higher scores indicating more stress. Good point. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and really, there's a couple times in the paper where you're a bit repetitive. And something that I want to mention is if you repeat stuff, all right, I may tell you to take it out, but I won't take off points for it in general. I can't think of any reasons I would take off points for it. But usually I'll say, oh, you put the information in the materials and then you put it again in the procedure section or something like that. I'll say, you can delete it from the procedure section or you can delete it from the materials section. But I'm not taking off points because you put too much. Because I think it's better to, repeat yourself than it is to not include the appropriate information. All right. And so in the materials section, when you when you describe your surveys or your questionnaires or whatever you use to evaluate their stress levels or whatever your DV was, you already probably said what higher scores mean, all right? The reason we do that again here in the results is because sometimes you like pull together several different scores for participants, or you like combine stuff, and that could change the amount. So it's good to just indicate here again what the different scores mean. Also, sometimes people just jump straight to the results and they don't read your methods or they don't read your introduction. So that's why it's a good idea, you know, to do stuff like remind the reader of your hypotheses or tell them what different scores mean, you know, just in case people are skipping around. Because we expect you to skip around. Part of the reason we use APA style is so that you can jump in anywhere and know what you should expect from that section. Okay. Any other questions before we move on? These have all been great. Okay. I'm gonna head over to the oh my gosh, the lecture. Wow, I'm really having like a tired day today.